Here's a high-retention YouTube narration script based on your source material, transformed into a suspense-driven story rather than a recap. Someone is lying. Someone is carrying a secret so devastating it could destroy multiple lives. And after months of suspicion, accusations, arrests, and shocking twists, the truth behind Theo Silverton's death has finally started to emerge. But if you think the mystery is over, think again. Because one confession has changed everything. And another discovery could blow the entire case wide open. For weeks, Weatherfield has been consumed by one terrifying question. Who killed Theo Silverton? Almost everyone had a reason. Todd wanted freedom from the man who had emotionally tortured him for months. Summer had been pushed to breaking point. Danielle had every reason to hate her ex-husband. Gary had turned from Theo's closest ally into one of his fiercest enemies. And with so many suspects, the truth became buried beneath layer after layer of suspicion. But then came the dinner party. The night everything exploded. The night secrets started slipping out. And the night viewers finally learned what really happened on that fatal evening. As accusations flew across the dinner table, nobody realized that the biggest secret in the room belonged to Sarah Platt. For weeks she had been acting strangely. For weeks she had been sharing whispered conversations with Gary. For weeks she had watched innocent people fall under suspicion. And all along she was carrying a crushing burden. A burden so heavy that it was slowly destroying her from the inside. But that's only the beginning. Because while everyone focused on Gary, another battle was unfolding behind closed doors. Kit Green was becoming obsessed. The detective was convinced he had his man. In his eyes, Gary Windass was guilty. Every strange conversation. Every suspicious movement. Every lie. Every secret. It all pointed back to Gary. And the more Kit investigated, the more determined he became. What he didn't realize was that the truth was sitting much closer to him than he ever imagined. A truth that could shatter his entire future. As Gary found himself under increasing pressure, cracks started appearing. The stress was becoming unbearable. His marriage was hanging by a thread. Maria was convinced he was cheating. Kit was convinced he was a killer. And Gary was trapped between protecting Sarah and saving himself. Then one dangerous mistake changed everything. During a heated confrontation, Gary let something slip. Only a few words. But enough. Enough for Todd Grimshaw to notice. Enough for suspicion to take root. Enough for the entire mystery to start shifting in a completely different direction. And that's where the real nightmare begins. Todd had already suffered more than most. Theo had taken almost everything from him. His confidence. His peace. His sense of safety. Even after Theo's death, the pain hadn't stopped. Instead, it kept growing. Every new clue reopened old wounds. Every accusation brought fresh heartbreak. And now Todd was starting to realize something didn't add up. Why were Sarah and Gary so desperate to protect each other? Why were they both behaving like they were carrying the same secret? And most importantly, what exactly happened on the night Theo died? The questions refused to go away. So Todd did something dangerous. He confronted Sarah. At first she fought back. She denied everything. She pleaded with him to stop digging. She begged him to let the police handle it. But Todd wouldn't let it go. And suddenly Sarah found herself facing the moment she had feared for weeks. The moment where the lies could no longer hold. The moment where the truth finally came crashing out. What happened next left viewers stunned. Because Sarah broke. After weeks of guilt. Weeks of fear. Weeks of emotional torture. She finally confessed. Every terrible detail. Every devastating moment. Every secret she had been carrying. The words came pouring out. And once they started, there was no stopping them. Sarah admitted that she was responsible for Theo's death. She explained how everything spiraled out of control. How fear took over. How one terrifying confrontation ended in tragedy. And how panic led her to call Gary for help. For Sarah, it was a confession born from desperation. But for Todd, it felt like another betrayal. A heartbreaking betrayal. Because the person he trusted most had been lying to him all along. And yet the pain went even deeper than that. Todd wasn't just mourning Theo. He wasn't just processing the truth. He was mourning the future that had been stolen from him. The chance to confront Theo. The chance to survive him. The chance to prove that he could move on. Sarah had taken that away. Not intentionally. But the damage was done. And the emotional fallout was devastating. What happens next leaves everyone stunned. After hearing the truth, Todd found himself facing an impossible choice. Tell the police. Or protect Sarah. On one side stood justice. On the other stood loyalty. On one side stood the truth. On the other stood someone he loved. The weight of that decision threatened to crush him. For a while nobody knew what he would do. Not Sarah. Not Gary. Not even Todd himself. As he wrestled with his conscience, Sarah spiraled further. The guilt was becoming unbearable. She had watched innocent people suffer. She had watched suspicions spread through the community. She had watched Gary become the prime suspect. And now she was watching her own life collapse around her. Every relationship was under threat. Every lie created another lie. Every secret made the situation worse. Yet despite everything, Sarah still couldn't bring herself to go to the police. Because one terrifying fear kept stopping her. Prison. The possibility of losing her family. The possibility of losing her future. The possibility of never being able to put things right. And that fear was becoming stronger than ever. Then came another devastating twist. Todd finally made his decision. And it wasn't the one Sarah expected. He wasn't going to hand her over. He wasn't going to call the police. He wasn't going to expose her. Instead he chose silence. But that silence came with a brutal cost. Because while he could protect Sarah, he could no longer forgive her. In one heartbreaking conversation, Todd delivered a blow that hit harder than any police investigation. Their friendship was over. Finished. Destroyed. The trust was gone. The bond they had built over years had been shattered. And suddenly Sarah realized something horrifying. Keeping her secret hadn't saved everything. It had already cost her someone she loved. The emotional impact was crushing. Todd walked away. Sarah was left alone. And the loneliness felt suffocating. However, another problem is already emerging. Because just when it seemed like the truth had finally been revealed, a new mystery appeared. A mystery that could change absolutely everything. While struggling with her guilt, Sarah made an unexpected discovery about the very night Theo died. A discovery connected to her own attack. A discovery that raised disturbing new questions. Questions nobody was asking before. Questions that could completely rewrite the story. What if there is still more to uncover? What if Sarah doesn't know the full truth herself? What if the version of events everyone believes isn't the complete picture? And suddenly viewers are looking back at everything with fresh eyes. Every clue. Every conversation. Every suspicious moment. Could there still be another twist hiding in the shadows? Could there be details nobody has noticed? Could someone else know more than they're admitting? And perhaps most chilling of all, could the nightmare be far from over? Because although Sarah has confessed to Todd, the police still don't know. Kit still doesn't know. Maria still doesn't know. And Gary is still carrying a secret capable of destroying multiple lives. Meanwhile, Kit continues hunting for answers. A detective obsessed with finding the truth. A man who has no idea that the woman he loves may be hiding the very thing he's searching for. If that truth comes out, everything changes. His career. His relationship. His future. Nothing survives untouched. And Sarah knows it. Every moment she spends with Kit now is poisoned by guilt. Every smile feels like a lie. Every conversation feels dangerous. Because the closer he gets to the truth, the closer she gets to losing everything. But if one thing is becoming clear, the Theo Silverton mystery may be far more dangerous than anyone imagined. One confession has shattered friendships. One secret has nearly destroyed a marriage. One death has left a trail of guilt, betrayal, fear, and heartbreak across Weatherfield. Yet somehow it still feels like pieces of the puzzle are missing. Because in Soapland, the biggest revelation is often the one nobody sees coming. And if Sarah's latest discovery uncovers another hidden truth, if one final secret emerges from that fatal night, then the entire story could be turned upside down once again. And when that next shocking revelation finally comes to light, Weatherfield may never be the same again.